Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jacque and this is Jacque is Making, a place where I talk all about the knit garments, accessories, and sometimes quilts that I'm making. And today I have for you a normal podcast episode where I'm going to be walking through all of the current whips that I have in my life. So that includes a sweater that I recently cast on for my husband, a cowl that you guys have seen progressing, and it's actually getting pretty far. I'm already to the decreases. I also have a cardigan on the needles that have kind of hit a point where it's like, do I rip back or do I keep going? You know, one of those little mistakes. I have a mess up on a pair of socks where they're too tight, so I'll talk about that. And then lastly, an update about my wedding quilt. I'm excited to show you some progress on that. I also have, at the end of this video, just another feature for the Fall Feels Knit Along. That knit along is ending on November 30th, so we're so close to being able to pick the winners. This morning, I actually went through and scrolled through that hashtag, and there's just so many beautiful garments in there, so I'm excited to just highlight a few more of those in this video before we end up picking the winners at the end of this week. Before we get started, I did want to mention what I am wearing. This is the Lume pullover by Sari Norland, a very, very popular pattern. I did want to highlight it because it was probably my favorite pattern that I've knit this year. I knit it in January out of an Aran weight yarn that was a 50% wool, 50% alpaca, and it is just so striking on camera, but also in person. It looks so impressive, but it's a pattern that works up so quickly with that worsted to Aran gauge. And yeah, it's one that I'm super, super proud of and I love to wear, but I especially wanted to put it on today because we're inching closer to those cold months. We had our first snow here in Wisconsin, although it lasted for about 3 hours because quickly it turned to rain. I got to get out there really quick with my dog to allow him to jump and have some fun in there. But yeah, it was very short-lived, but it still made me realize it's time to pull out this sweater. This sweater just feels so wintry to me, just the colors. But it is something that I've had top of mind just because I do need to add some length to it. Last year when I was knitting it, I wasn't at home when I was like close to the body ribbing, so I was just going off of the pattern. And the dimensions are very much so either for like someone with a shorter torso or maybe it's meant to be more of a cropped version. And so much to my dismay, when I finally got home and tried it on, it hits right at like my high-waisted jeans. And I'd much prefer it I've been thinking I might add like 2 to 3 inches. I could totally see myself adding 3 inches just because the look of this. I ended up doing a sleeve that's a little bit more, it's not quite a bell sleeve, but it's definitely more like that. And so I just think it would be better like visually to have some length on the bottom as well. So yeah, this is one, like after I wear this today, I might just immediately go put it back on the needle, rip out that ribbing, and get started adding some length to it because yeah, I'm ready to start wearing this. One other update that this just made me think of, because I have multiple friends that have made this pattern as well, a few of us are actually going on a little knitting retreat in southwestern Wisconsin in a couple of weeks here. And so I think I'm planning to like take some video and just do some content surrounding that overall experience, because I think a lot of us see different retreats being advertised all around, and it's kind of fun to just realize, oh, like actually you can make your own retreat with your own friends for quite a bit cheaper. We're ending up doing the whole weekend, renting a house, and it's only going to be like $160 per person for 2 nights. Plus we're going to end up splitting some groceries and whatever, but it's much more affordable than, I know there are so many trips being advertised out there and other retreats that are thousands of dollars, which aren't always in everyone's budget. So yeah, I might just find some ways to highlight how we made that cost effective and the things that we plan on doing during that. So let me know if you're interested in that down below. But it's something that I'm planning for and looking forward to. And yeah, I'm just trying to as I'm gonna be talking about my whips today, I'm trying to plan, okay, what am I going to want to knit on in that weekend and have done to wear during that weekend and that sort of thing. And this is definitely one of them. I want to be able to wear this sweater with my friends wearing theirs as well, so maybe we can take a big group picture. So that is this. And without further ado, let's just get into some of the other things that I am working on. I think my favorite whip that I have right now is definitely my Shift Cowl. This is a cowl that I have kind of partnered with Junction Fiber Mill to make. They helped supply me the yarn, and together we created 3 different bundles of their collar changing yarn in their sport weight called Making Tracks Light. And so I'll have that link down for you below, but it's been so fun to support them and to work with them because I love just everything that they stand for and all that they're about. And the cherry on top has been working with this gorgeous woolly squishy yarn. I've been so impressed with it, so much so that I've been looking at more and more of Andrea Mowry's patterns just because she creates so many patterns with those color changing yarns. So I've been like, okay, what else can I use Junction Fiber Mill for? But yeah, I have my Shift Cowl progress here. You can see I have made quite a bit of progress. Where I ended up last time on the podcast, I was in still some of this orangey red section, and now I've moved on to the green. So what's cool about this pattern is you're using 3 different colors, but almost right off the bat, you're incorporating all 3. So you can see I have an orange color, a green color, and then a color that is just more yellow, like a mustardy color. So you can see I'm using them interchangeably throughout. And first I had that orange as a big background, and now we're going into the green as a big background, which I've just loved because I think it's so beautiful to see and look at the background and see that color going from the green having a little bit more of that like golden yellow to it to where we're at the top now where it's more of a green and blue together, which is so, so beautiful. So yeah, this has been something that has been small enough that it's easy to throw in my bag and carry around, but it's also been one of those projects that I just when I'm knitting at night, I want to go grab this and pick this because I'm really, really excited to have it as a finished object. Yeah, I love the way that it's working up. I think it's so beautiful. I love that these are autumn tones, but they also read, I don't know, just kind of rainbowy, just in that I feel like it's going to be easy to pair with things, pair with any neutral long sleeve, just because it has so many different colors going in it. I feel like when it has all of these colors that it will match with more things. Maybe that's just me, but yeah, I'm still in the part where I don't know what this is fully gonna look like when it's finished and when it's sewn up. So the way that this works is it's a bandana type style of cowl, and then eventually you're gonna sew together some of the edge. I'll have to put a picture up on the screen for you guys to see. And for me, I am planning on making this as Andrea intended with sewing up that back. The only difference is I've seen some creators talking about only sewing it up halfway, and that way it lays a little bit better. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sew it up halfway, try it on, see what I think, and then assess from there. But I love that sort of idea because there definitely are some I've seen where, maybe it bunches up a little bit. So yeah, that is the Shift Cowl. It's moving along really well. I am already on the decreases. So the pattern works where, you're increasing every single right side row until a certain point, and then you start the decreases. So I just feel like I'm getting closer since I have those decreases now, and I'm really excited to wear it. That is one I would love to have to wear on my retreat. So that's definitely my number 1 whip right now. I actually thought it would be fun to do my little quilt portion next just because I have just a quick block to update you on. And as I was thinking about my process and using my computer, looking at my block the other day, I was thinking about what would be valuable to you all because I created this in Illustrator, but also because it was something that was new to me. It took me a while to figure out how can I take something from pen and paper and incorporate it into a quilt design. So I actually found a course on Skillshare that walks you through exactly how to do it in a program like Illustrator, but also what to do if you just want to use something like a grid paper. So I found this fantastic class on Skillshare called Introduction to Quilt Design. And I thought that would be so perfect to showcase for you all if you are inspired by what I'm doing so that you can do it yourself. I love Skillshare because they are an incredible online learning community tailored for creatives. They offer thousands of classes in design, photography, illustration, and more. Basically, everything you need to grow your skills or spark new ideas. And one of my favorite features is their learn by doing approach. You're not just watching, you're creating projects you can share with a vibrant community of like-minded members. As the year winds down, it's the perfect time to reflect and dive into something new. Whether you're a seasoned pro or starting fresh, Skillshare has curated learning paths to help you master a new skill step by step. The first 500 people to click the link in the description box below will get 1 month free of Skillshare Premium. So if you're ready to have all of your creative ideas come to life, make sure you check out all of the creative classes that Skillshare has to offer. If you start learning today, let me know what you select down below. If you missed last week's podcast episode, I talked all about how a friend had actually created this design and how I took the image that she gave me and put it into Illustrator to make a beautiful quilt design that I could make come to life as a wall hanging for her wedding. So I'll put that image back up on the screen so you can see exactly where this piece fits in. But I have finished the center motif and I have that here. Isn't it so cool? So this is meant to look a little bit like clovers, but also has that heart look to it. So you can see each of these look like hearts. And then these are a little bit pointy at the top, but what's important to keep in mind, let me fold it down a little bit, is that all around it will still have that 1/4 inch seam allowance. So it'll eventually be folded down like this and look a little bit more like that rounded heart shape. So yeah, this was fun. This was a lot of half square triangles in the corners. These were all HSTs. This was just basically sashing. And then what I did for this was I did squares for all of these. And then for this, I also did these as rectangles. And then on each corner, I just did where I would sew diagonally, cut it, and then fold it back and iron down to make this motif. So I feel like this was possible because I've made so many other quilts and know like different methods that have been used, but it's definitely been so helpful for me in Illustrator to have this all worked up. And then I use my little measure tool and I measure from corner to corner. I can also zoom in and kind of look at my little 1/4 inch marks to see exactly how big I need to make a piece. Then I decide, if I need a 3-inch square as a final, then I'm gonna add 1/2 inch to it so that I'm accounting for a 1/4 inch seam allowance on all sides. And so then I'll cut a piece, maybe that's like 4 inches, cut it down to 3.5, and then I know at the end, it'll be a perfect 3-inch square to fit into my overall design. So there definitely is like a little bit of math involved in this, but it's all simple math and it makes you feel very smart when it's all finished and accomplished. So yeah, this is that center motif. If you saw last week's podcast episode, you saw I also have those outside half square triangles that are gonna make that big star. And honestly, I'm so inspired by this to kind of get it done. My friend actually isn't coming back to Wisconsin until February, so I have quite a bit of time to finish this and get it sent off to the long armor. But with holidays, you never know how backed up long armors will be. So I'm excited to have this done and to hand it off to her. It's something that's just been very, very special to work on, and it's made me realize how much I like making these for others as well. It's made me want to make more baby quilts or wall hangings. I just find my attention to detail and the excitement I feel that I'm making it for someone else feels really elevated while I'm making it, and I find myself like, if something isn't perfectly lined up, I take my seam ripper, I rip it out, and I make it perfect. And I don't always do that for myself. So I find it's just, it's making me slow down and have just a very like mindful experience. And I also really enjoy that it isn't as long as knitting. So, for instance, knitting a sweater can take upwards of like 2 months for me. So the fact that this quilt, this wall hanging will mean so much to her, but it's probably only going to take me, I don't know, maybe 5 2-hour sessions, 3-hour sessions. It's a lot faster. I can't exactly put a duration to it, but just know it's a fraction of what it would take to knit someone something, and it still feels just as special. So that might be my new gifting technique, is to do a little bit more sewing projects for gifting, because knitting, it's hard to get someone to appreciate the fiber you're knitting with, appreciate the cost associated with that fiber, and then also to know to take care of that item. And just knowing, it took you 2 months to make, and that they could just felt it in the wash accidentally, makes me at least a little bit weary of gift knits. So yeah, I've just been thinking about that a lot with so many people posting all of their like gift knit gift guides and everything. I love actually watching them just for inspiration for myself and everything too, but I actually don't know if I am going to make any gift knits this year. Yeah, that's maybe next year. It's not really something I think I'm going to do this year, so. But if you are making them, I'd love to hear what you are making, what your thoughts are around it, and if you think I should change my mind. All right, next I thought I could show you something kind of fun. This is an acquisition and a cast on all in one. I actually have a swatch too I could show you guys. But this I actually purchased with KnitPicks's big sale. You may have seen me post about it on my Instagram, but they have their huge like $2, $4, $6 sale that happened a little bit earlier this month. And so I actually purchased some yarn because I had heard some friends talk about how much they loved this fingering weight yarn. And yeah, I love, they have so many colors. It is a 100% Peruvian Highland wool. And yeah, I mean, I was inspired by multiple things. I have a friend making the melange sweater by Petite Knit, so I knew I wanted to get 2 colors to hold together. I also knew I have an audience that is sometimes looking for more budget-friendly yarns, so I really wanted to try KnitPicks because I haven't used it before. So I wanted to make sure if I do recommend something to you all that I actually like the product as well. So yeah, that's kind of how I decided upon 2 colors and to use palette. So here are the 2 beautiful colors that I chose. This first one up here is in the color Shire, and I actually picked that out because my husband loves Lord of the Rings, and I thought it was just like so fun to tie in that element. And then this one down below is called Larch Heather. So I knew upon purchasing these that these were 2 colors that I was going to want to marl together, but I also knew it wasn't going to have a ton of contrast. So I was essentially just looking through patterns of like DK weight patterns. Holding 2 fingering weight yarns together will give you a DK gauge. So I was considering that melange sweater, but it was a drop shoulder, and I had just came off of knitting 2 drop shoulders, so I was like, maybe something else. Also, the melange sweater has a bit of ease, And that zipper sweater that I just made for my husband, he feels like it has too much ease. It's too baggy on him. And he wanted something a little bit more fitting. So that is when I found the Bibliophile sweater. And this one in particular is fit especially for a man, and it's only meant to have 2 to 4 inches of positive ease. So I thought that would be perfect. It is also a top down in the round raglan. I just felt like it would be such a wonderful palette cleanser and a really good test to see whether or not I like this yarn. So this is the swatch that I did. And you can see the colors really came out beautifully. It actually just looks like a true marled yarn. It doesn't really look like you're using 2 separate colors, but I absolutely love the fabric that it's creating, and my husband likes it too, which is what matters out of this one. I was a little bit off of my stitch gauge with this measurement, so I ended up going up a needle, and now that I'm a little bit further along, maybe I should measure and see what my stitches are coming out with now, because I didn't redo my gauge. It was at the point where I felt like it would work out well to just go up 1 needle size. So I am knitting this on a US 7, and here is kind of my little progress so far. You can see I'm already in the round, and man, has this been so enjoyable so far, because the way you're doing that back neck shaping is you're casting on and you're starting doing those raglan increases, making that back shaping, and it's only like this much, you guys. And after this much, you're joining in the round, and you're kind of doing your normal where you're like increasing 1 row, knitting 1 row, increasing 1 row, knitting 1 row. And man, it's been enjoyable, a perfect palette cleanser of a sweater. And so yeah, I've been really enjoying that as well. I do have my cute little stitch marker on here. I love this little calico cat I have. But yeah, this is something I've been keeping down. It's like been some enjoyable TV knitting time, and I don't really have any time restrictions or anything I'm wanting to have this pattern done for, although I will say, because it is that beautiful like Christmas green, it would be so fun to have done by Christmas. But if not, my husband's birthday is January 15th, so kind of picturing it as that is really my end goal, is that January 15th. We'll see, if I cast on much else and what else deters me of finishing this. But yeah, that is the Bibliophile sweater. Next, I have just a very quick update for you on how my colorwork Selbu socks are going. I did just a little bit more on these socks here, and then I actually tried it on, and they're way too tight. It was hard for me to know exactly which size to pick for this, because the last socks that I made that were a 64 stitch gauge are way too big. So I was like, oh, surely 64 will be big. I knew that color work made things tighter, but I felt like it would be a good tighter. No, I could not get this over like the heel of my foot. So yeah, I have a couple of options. I can either go up to 72 stitches. I also probably should have just went up a needle size in the color work. That's a very standard recommendation, is to go up a needle size in your actual color work motif. So I'm not really sure what to do right now. I'm not sure, do I do both? Do I completely frog this? Do 72 plus a going up a needle size? I'm weary about it because I'm wary about it because I'm not sure, I just don't want to make something too big. My last socks that I made are definitely too big, and when you make a sock too big, it feels a little bit flimsy. It's way more apt to get holes, and it doesn't have that nice structure to it, so it's not as long lasting. So this is a project that it's gonna take a while, and I want it to fit so nice. So what would you guys do? Would you do the 72 plus going up the needle size, or would you stick with 64, not frog your ribbing because the ribbing fits me, and just go? Maybe I'll do that. I'm like talking myself through this. This is like therapy. I think because I already have the ribbing down on a 64, let's frog back up to the ribbing, Then let's go up a needle size for the color work, see if that bodes well. If not, we frog it completely. How does that sound? I think we do that before we frog completely because, it's not fun to redo ribbing. So let's just try it while we have it here. I'm glad you guys helped me with that. Or I just walk through it with myself. Next, I have an update for you on the Cardi Cocoon. And this project, it's just so lovely. Oh man, the fabric feels so delicious. I'm much happier with the fabric, I would say, than I was before. When I first started it, I was like, oh no, does this feel too mohairy? Because I'm holding one strand of a sport weight of 100% alpaca yarn, and then I'm holding that with 2 strands of Knitting for Olive mohair. So, the weight of it's more mohair than it is alpaca. So I was just worried that it was like that dry mohair feeling, if you know, you know. And no, now that I have like a bigger gauge swatch, it's very soft. I think the drape is going to be absolutely beautiful, but it's kind of been a headache of a pattern. I finished, my one trapezoid, that main back panel. And one thing I'm learning about, I don't know if this is Anne Ventzel style, or what, or if I am just used to like the hand holding petite knit patterns, which is probably what it really is, honestly. But this pattern has much less kind of instruction to it. It's one of those where it's kind of like, duh, figure it out is what I feel like when I'm reading it and going through it. And there are a couple of things like, okay, so right now I'm picking up where, if you're looking at the back, you're picking up the back section to kind of start working that arm, which is a little bit more of like a bat wing sort of arm. And what I'm struggling with is keeping the design of the sides. So I don't know if you'll be able to see here my little break where you can see my pickups, which I actually frogged and redid, and I still think it's not flawless. It's fine, but it's not flawless. Same with over here. Let me just tighten this up a little bit. I need to weave in these ends. But you can see it's a little bit messed up where I accidentally started a cable where I wasn't supposed to. Now that I'm looking at it, it doesn't bother me as much. But you can see the break in it where it's not supposed to be there. And I'm sure that's not the easiest for you all to see. But it's one of those where like I already ripped it back once. And Rachel is Knitting just talked about this. When she gets mad at a project, she puts it in the corner until she's mad with another project. And then she goes back and she's not as mad at that one as she is at the current one. So then, you flip back and forth. It's kind of how I feel about this one. I know if I set it down and I went on to another project, I'd come back and I would just be like, rip it out, Jacque. Like I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 rows I'd be frogging. But I'm also like, that's the very tip of your neck. It's a philosophy thing. Does it need to be perfect? Or will you even notice it? I have friends that say and point out errors to me in their sweaters, and I'm like, I never would have noticed that. Because when you're looking at a garment on someone, your eyes see the whole thing. If they're showing you something up close, you see the thing up close, but you don't, you're not staring at them at every little bit. And even if you do see an error, as AKA Nora Knit says, the imperfections are what make something so perfectly handmade. You might be like, oh, I don't know. I feel like if I saw an error on a friend's sweater, it would almost feel like endearing to me. Like, oh, that's a little error, but I get it. Like, I would be like, I get it, girl. Like, keep going, keep progressing. And also, who cares? And that's cool because you made it. So of course there's going to be errors. We're humans. So welcome to Therapy Talks with Jacque, because I think I just talked myself out of frogging it again, because I can barely see that as I'm looking at this. And Yay. Now I'm excited to keep working on this. I was really mad at it the other night. I was feeling so discouraged that it wasn't flawlessly perfect. And, you know, having this YouTube channel, it's like I do want to create perfect things, or just I want to have good craftsmanship to show you all, because I think that skills matter. Craftsmanship matters. It matters that I am learning and I'm progressing in this skill, at least to me, because that's what makes like some things in life worthwhile, is when you continue learning and growing. And it's not about perfecting something. It's just about improving and growing. So that is something that is like an ideal and a value of mine that I want to showcase for you all. But I also, I'm saying this out loud, like guys, I just hit my 1 year of knitting. If there are some mistakes in my projects, I think that is completely normal. And if you're listening to this and you're dealing with the same thing, as I'm sure that you are, just give yourself some grace. Know that you are still gonna have a beautiful, beautiful garment that you made, that no one else could have made but you. And I hope that maybe that inspires you a little bit to give yourself a little bit more grace, because that's a practice I'm working on giving myself to. It's not easy, especially when we are on social media and, you know, YouTube here, and it seems like everyone else can make perfect fitting garments in 2 seconds. And we're just like sitting here making errors, taking 3 months to knit one sweater. If you feel that way, just know I also feel that way. It's completely normal. And just to remember, like, this is a slow craft with human error, and that makes it perfectly fine and perfectly good as well. That perfectly good just reminded me, are you guys obsessed with Wicked like I am? Have you seen it yet? I still haven't seen it, but I just know I have listened to the new soundtrack about 20 times already. My husband is sick of me singing it everywhere. I've been singing it around the kitchen. When I wake up, it's the first song that is stuck in my head. And I took some time off from work this week, so I might just make some time to go and see it. I've always been so inspired by that musical. I was telling my friends in the 7th grade, I had my first ever like Sony MP3 player. It was like a brick. It was so huge. And I remember downloading Wicked, probably like on LimeWire, and going to a show choir competition, and me and my best friend each having an earbud in, jamming to Wicked. And you know, I just have such great memories with that musical. So it's fun to relive some of those memories and to listen to the soundtrack, and I still have every word memorized, and it just feels very, very special to me. So I'm allowing myself to have a ton of fun with it. And yeah, I'm excited to go see the movie, so I'll keep you guys posted on my stories if I go do that. I'm bound to have such a fun week this week because hopefully I get to go see that. I also am hosting a Thanksgiving at my house, which is pretty fun. My husband is planning on smoking the turkey. I have a couple of family members bringing some dishes, and I like to cook, so I'm excited to make a couple of sides with that. And I am excited that he's smoking the turkey because I think that'll free up some oven space. But yeah, I'm excited. I would love to hear if you guys love to cook Thanksgiving, and if you have an absolute favorite recipe that you think I should make, I would love to hear that too. So yeah, I think this week will include lots of crafting, planning on cooking. I might try to do just some winter cleaning, you know, before it gets too cold. Little things like I was thinking I should vacuum my car before it gets, because if you know, once it's freezing, you do not want to vacuum your car. Little things like that. I've been thinking about that. So yeah, that's things I'm excited for this week. I've also been tentatively thinking through, you know, what's December going to look like for me. So many creators are talking about Vlogmas and whether or not they're going to do it. And I've been thinking about maybe doing a version that fits for me and my lifestyle. I still work a full-time job, so I cannot imagine producing these long videos every single day for Vlogmas. But maybe what I'll do is just some little crafting vlogs, you know, little shorter 10, 15-minute videos. I could see myself doing that. I'm currently working with one of my favorite fabric stores. Cannot wait to show this to you guys all on them providing a quilt kit for me to showcase for you all. And why I love it is because it has so many different blocks that I know you're gonna love it because I love it. It's so beautiful. And I think it's just gonna be a really fun winter quilt to work through with you all and perfect to showcase Vlogmas for. I'm also thinking I kind of want to cast on something else too, like especially once I have that cowl finished. I am thinking through the Eggio Knits. She has a new colorwork sweater, so I'm thinking about that. And yeah, just my overall winter plans as well that I'm sure will be a part of December content. And before I keep rambling, let's talk a little bit about the makers of the Fall Feels Cowl and just end this video by showcasing some of their beautiful hand knits. So as I said this morning, I had some fun just perusing through the hashtag. It made me tear up a little bit just thinking of it coming to a close and how long it took me to scroll. Just felt so warm and fuzzy and exciting that you guys had fun participating in this cowl as much as I did. So the first project that I wanted to showcase for you all is by Ann Meyer Creative. And I love this because she was inspired by me making the shift cowl, so she made her own. And it looks like she used Shopple's Edition 3 yarn, which is perfect for this pattern. I love that hers has these like pink and greens, which it's honestly giving Wicked. But I love that color combination together. I think it looks so good. She also has some pink hair, which really like makes this cowl shine. And I'm so excited that you made it along with me. Thank you, Anne. Your cowl is beautiful. Next we have Mary Mari Knitter, and she made the Ava cardigan out of the recommended yarn, which is Pure Gint. And looking at this, it is beautiful. You guys know I have the Ava cardigan pattern. I'm dying to make it. And I was thinking about making it with some fawn yarn that I got, but I'm like, every time I see it in the Pure Gint, it just looks so crispy and good. You know, like that super defined stitches. It looks store-bought in the absolute best way. And I just absolutely love yours, Mowry. It looks so gorgeous. So thank you for participating in the cowl. Next we have Margins of Motherhood. She has a really cute Chiefs beanie. I wanted to include this since my husband and I are Chiefs fans, and this is Kelsey, who is actually a friend of mine. But I love that she made this colorwork beanie, and she also added a really fun poof to the top. And it's like a big, lively poof. It's so beautiful. And this is also fun because she used the yarn that Sorella Yarn released on Super Bowl Sunday. So that is super fun. Thank you for joining the cowl, Kelsey. Next I have Knit with Joe's Staffin sweater, and this is gorgeous. It's very much giving Fall Feels Cowl with that kind of orangey pumpkin spice deep orange color. And this is a pattern by the Creabea, which is actually currently in testing, at least when she posted it on November 11th. I'm not sure if it's released yet. And she used Cascade 220's yarn in burnt orange. And I just think this is perfect for the cowl. It is so beautiful. Thank you for joining. Okay, and last we have 9 Crafty 11. She made a slip over, and this looks like the Tarquenia slip over. And this is a test knit she did for Mimi Knit Design, and she used Sheppy's Stonewashed yarn. And this color is so beautiful. This looks like a classic slip over, and I love the way that she has her outfit paired with the necklace and her button-up shirt. It just looks so beautiful. Thank you so much for participating. I love this vest. So that was just a little snippet into the Fall Feels cowl. As a gentle reminder, this ends on November 30th, so if you haven't yet posted on your Instagram feed, just a reminder to post hashtag Fall Feels cowl, and you'll be entered to win some of those really fun prizes like a bundle from Fiber MacGyver. You're getting a pattern of your choice from me and from Rebecca. There's also, I know there's just some other really fun notions and things in there that I'm not thinking of, but all of the details are listed in our Instagrams. So just a reminder to post that if you haven't yet. And of course, I hope you all are going to have a wonderful and thankful week. Just know I'm super thankful for all of you for being here and listening to me ramble about all of the things that I'm making. I hope that you all have a great rest of your week and happy knitting. Bye-bye.